Remember, don't try this at home.
We've got years of experience that keeps us safe.
Coming up on Mythbusters.
It's Myths Revisited, where we take you on.
There's crashes, bags, and wallets in a Myths Revisited special. Can salami really work as a rocket fuel?
Stand back, we're coming to get some rocket fuel out of the fridge.
Tori and Grant see if a hand braced on a windshield will stop it from shattering.
I'll miss you, buddy.
Then Adam and Jamie revisit the best way to drive a pickup truck.
This test is tailgate up, just like the old times.
And finally, there's a battle of the blades. Can a sword slice through a machine gun? Who are the Mythbusters? Adam Savage and Jamie Heineman.
Aren't tracer rounds illegal?
Between them, over 30 years special effects experience.
That's what I'm talking about!
Joining them, Tori Belleci,
What could go wrong?
Carrie Byron,
Going for total annihilation.
and Grant Imahara.
I'm pumping as fast as I can.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test.
The more we do this show, the more, I think, really committed we are to trying to get at least some kind of scientific approach to what we're doing.
Yep.
But I gotta say, I get a lot of angry email from fans complaining that you screwed this up, or you messed that up, or you guys have no idea what you're doing.
Yep.
Are you gonna say anything but yep?
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, this is another Myths Revisited episode. We're gonna take another stab at some myths that viewers found incredibly controversial, and the first one is salami rocket.
Yep.
In Salami Rocket, Adam and Jamie wanted to find out if luncheon meat could get launched.
3, 2, 1. Hey! Look at that! 20 feet, man! What did I tell you?
But according to some fans, with this rocket, it's, Houston, we have a problem.
Well, I don't know what more the viewers want. We got the rocket off the ground.
Yes, but the viewers are saying that we did not get a bona fide ignition.
It flew.
Yeah, they claim that all we got was the release of nitrous oxide propelling that rocket. There was no actual ignition, just the gas alone and its pressure gave our rocket that launch.
I think now would be a good time for a graphic. Their original rocket was a two-tank hybrid rocket. The bottom half contained the salami rocket fuel, and the top, the fuel oxidizer, liquid nitrous oxide, or NOx. The theory was that on ignition, the salami gently smoldered until the NOx was released with explosive results. But some fans think that the salami was never actually alight, so the thrust they got was thanks only to the release of the NOx.
So we have to retest it. This is just a total proof of concept, just to see if we can get ignition between the NOx and the salami, and to see if that ignition produces real thrust.
Huh.
To find out if their rocket was a NOx no-hoper or a salami sizzler, the Mythbusters have dusted off their original plans.
Rocket fuel!
So, first things first, it's back to the butcher's board.
Remember, the bandsaw was invented for cutting meat.
Just like last time, Adam's starting by shaping the salamis so that they'll fit snugly into the rocket.
disgusting.
And just like last time, Adam's suffering from innuendo overload.
Too many jokes.
With Adam showing the restraint of a saint, he heads on to tackle another viewer complaint, the graphite exhaust nozzle. Despite Adam's silky skills, there were some fans who thought his original nozzles were not strong enough.
So I've made the new ones, which are with a much thicker lip. Should provide a lot more material and provide a lot more strength.
Come launch time, these reinforced nozzles should do the business. But for this experiment, the term launch is not entirely accurate because they're going to do these tests locked down.
We're going to do the Salami Rocket revisit bench tests right here outside the shop, but inside the bunker. Now, this bunker is specifically designed to be able to contain things like flame and explosions and projectiles that we don't want to expose ourselves to.
And to get some data without a launch into the sky, Jamie's built a special clamp that will hold the rocket in place.
That looks pretty nifty.
At each end of the clamp, he's putting force meters that should measure the amount of thrust the lockdown rocket gives off on ignition. That's the theory. And with countdown approaching, Jamie puts the finishing touches to the rocket fuel, an inner coating of gunpowder.
This is an invention of mine. This is called self-cooking meat.
So while there won't be a vertical launch, with salamis, rockets, and gunpowder, there'll still be some fireworks. Now it's time for things to get rough.
Good to go for run number 1, 15 miles per hour.
When the team tested the myth about driving on rough roads,
Paramedics are nowhere to be found.
they found that for a smoother ride, the faster you go, the better. But now, fans want to know something new.
Well, Grant, I understand you have an interesting side myth here.
Yep, and it has to do with rocks on the road. If you have a vehicle approaching you or if you're following one that might kick up a rock into your windshield, you put your hand up on it and apply pressure. And doing this will save your windshield if a rock hits it.
It's another car caper. Can bracing your hand against the windshield really prevent it from being shattered by roadside shrapnel? To test this driver's dilemma, rather than using Jamie's hammer, Grant and Tori are actually going to fire rocks at windshields with that childhood favorite, the slingshot.
1, 2, 3. Did you guys see where that went?
But of course, they're not just going to release rocks at random. Instead, Tori's built a rig that should fire with pinpoint accuracy.
I think that's going to work just fine.
But it's not just the aim that's important for this shootout.
Well, I'm setting up the chronograph so that we can get an idea how fast Tori's slingshot is throwing those rocks. Our target velocity is somewhere in the order of 70 miles per hour.
With the chronograph up and running and Tori's focused, everything's set for a speed test.
I'm going to stand behind you.
Okay. Why, Grant?
Remember, they're looking to hit 70 miles an hour.
3, 2, 1.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, 67 feet per second, 45.7 miles per hour.
45 miles an hour. So we need another at least 25 miles.
Right.
Faster. Okay.
To crank up the speed, Tori yanks the elastic 8 inches further back.
Whoa! You almost hit the chrono,
It went
man.
right through the box.
Jeez. Perfect. 76 miles per hour.
Okay.
Now they just need a car. Check. A handful of stones. Check. And a blanket to catch any ricochets. Check. And with the list checked off, they're finally ready to fire at the windshield, both with and without Grant bracing it with his hand.
All right, Grant, I'm ready to start breaking windows with rocks. But before I stick you in that car to shoot it, I want to make sure we can actually break a windshield with the rock.
Okay. Don't let that thing go.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Perfect shot.
That's a pretty good hit. Okay. No shattered windshield.
At 70 miles an hour, there's no broken glass, even without the hand. They try again, but this windshield is a tough nut to crack. So next, they decide to go for broke.
Well, since Jamie passed this kidney stone, we figured it'd be suiting to shoot it through the windshield. This is a 150-gram stone. We're going to see what kind of damage it does.
Surely this monster will get the result they're after.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
But no. There's a spiderweb crack, but no full-on shatter, which means it's back to the drawing board. Still to come, will the baloney go ballistic?
1, go. That sounded like a hell of a thud.
But next, talk to the hand. Will the windshield get shattered?
3, 2, 1.
You can protect that schoolgirl complexion with Duplate safety glass.
There are a whole host of ways to strengthen a car's windows. But is it true that your hand, braced up on the glass, can make it unbreakable? Well, Tori and Grant are on the case, but so far they're struggling to even shatter a windshield in the first place.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Whoa!
And after a quick research break, Grant discovers why.
I think we've been having such difficulty with this windshield myth because we've been using laminated windshields. And here in America, it's been common practice to use those since the 1920s. Well, what I think is that this myth comes from other countries where they've been using tempered glass windshields up until 1994.
Tempered glass should be much easier to break. So to kickstart this myth, they're removing the laminated windshield.
This job just keeps getting better and better.
The Mythbuster way. After Tori is flipped out on the car, Grant flips her around. It turns out on this model, the rear window is tempered and not laminated. And they're also going to make another change.
Man, if I had a nickel for every window I shot out with a BB gun, I wouldn't be working.
They're abandoning the slingshot, and instead they're going to use a BB gun, which should be easier to aim, easier to reload, and that's not all.
The good thing about the BB gun, the BBs are all uniform. They're exactly the same, so that takes out any variability that we might have with the stone.
That's the theory. But will the BB be powerful enough to shatter the shield?
What's your prediction?
He's going to take a BB in the nuts.
Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Yeah.
Looks like that breaks the windshield.
At last, they get the break they're after. So now they can put this myth to the test. With a replacement window in place,
Here we go.
Tori's going to fire an identical BB, and Grant will brace his hand against the glass. Will the windshield still shatter?
I'll miss you, buddy.
I'm going to catch it in my teeth.
All right, so this is BB shot onto tempered glass, Grant bracing the windshield. In 3, 2, 1. You holding the windshield didn't seem to help much.
No, not at all.
The windshield was definitely not protected by the hand. but the team isn't quite ready to call it Mythbusted yet.
What we didn't do in the previous test is dial in at what point the windshield will shatter. So what we're going to do, I have a BB gun, and I'm going to take a shot, pump it up, take a shot, pump it up twice, take a shot, and I'm going to keep pumping it up, taking a shot until we find at the exact point it'll take to crack this windshield. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Tori's worried that in the last test, the BB was fired so fast that it was always going to shatter the windshield.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So for the next test, he's calibrating the BB so that it fires at a speed which only just smashes the unbraced glass.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Okay. 6 pumps at this angle seems to be the winning number.
With the BB dialed in, it's time to talk to the hand.
So now we're going to do another test with me inside of the car holding the glass to see if this is going to prevent it from breaking or if it's just going to break anyway.
It's the moment of truth. Grant assumes the position and Tori pumps to 6. If the new windshield doesn't bust now, the myth is confirmed.
3, 2, 1. Well, doesn't look like putting your hand up against the windshield really does much, does it?
Tori's got it right on. Grant gave the windshield a hand, but it was still smashed to smithereens.
My feeling is it doesn't matter whether or not you put your hand up against the windshield, it's going to break.
Okay, fair enough.
You're so over this one, huh?
You try getting BBs and rocks shot at you about a dozen times and see how you feel.
So that's it. Grant's patience is shattered, and this myth is busted. Later, Tori, Carrie, and Grant chop down another myth.
Sound like some rabbit.
But next, will the salami skyrocket?
3, 2, 1.
Cotto salami, mortadella, rocket fuel, who needs a rocket fuel?
In the Salami Rocket revisit, the boys are all set to see if bologna can go ballistic, because fans weren't convinced.
We're having a revisit of this because there was a concern that the liftoff that we got in a previous experiment might have been just the nitrous oxide coming out of the tank. And obviously if there was enough of it, if it was energetic enough of it, we might have gotten some kind of burst from that, but not actually achieved ignition.
To find an answer once and for all, the Mythbusters have made some new meat missiles. But how do they work again?
It's a bench stand test for Salami Rocket. This right here is the Salami Rocket. Nitrous oxide goes in here. This is an electrically actuated valve that releases it into the ignition chamber where we put the salami and a nozzle. This rocket will be pushing this way, and we've got a force meter right here to test how much force it is pushing this way. We also have an analog force meter right here, a plate of steel that the rocket exhaust will push against and actually give us a different relative measurement of exactly how much force the rockets are putting out.
The Mythbusters are going to run a bunch of tests and compare the thrust levels recorded on the force gauges. And for test 1, they're going to address the fans' main complaint by measuring the force put out by the NOx alone. No salami, no ignition, just escaping gas.
Okay, this is NO2 only.
Yeah.
In 3, 2, 1.
Sounds like a hell of a thump.
Oh. Well, let's see what the force gauge said.
I believe that would be a pretty good word. Okay, the force gauge says 78 pounds of force.
78 pounds of thrust sounds a lot, and it sure looks violent. But would this alone have been enough to propel their original salami rocket to the sky? Adam and Jamie do the math, calibrating the force and weight, and wait for it.
Okay, I will give it to the viewers. They may actually be right, and the evidence supports it here, that just the pure release of nitrous oxide from that top tank would be enough to get the rocket off the rocket stand.
So it's looking like viewers 1, Mythbusters 0. And if the escaping NOx was enough to launch the original rocket, then the Mythbusters need to head back to square one. Can salami add anything to the reaction?
Stand back, I've come to get some rocket fuel out of the fridge.
For test 2, they're loading the rocket up to the max. Salami is the fuel and NOx is the oxidizer. And they're also adding an igniter to make sure that the salami, with its black powder filling, is smoldering when the NOx is released.
We're igniting them with little model rocket engines like this, and the new Mythbusters launch button.
The rocket's ready, but the question is, will this setup produce any more thrust on the force gauge?
In 3, 2, 1, go. Now that sounds more like it should.
It's the moment of truth. Mythbuster pride is on the line.
I get 19.6
pounds?
Yeah.
Remember, on test 1, with just the escaping NOx powering it, the rocket generated 78 pounds of force, which means something's gone wrong.
Pull this out. I just got to look right now. Nothing. Salami didn't ignite.
Uh-oh. It's looking like it's viewers 2, Mythbusters 0. The salami didn't burn, so it's not added any more thrust, which is leaving Adam and Jamie rather embarrassed. Coming right up, the boys hit the road for a fuel efficiency revisit.
This test is tailgate up, just like old times, except we don't have to drive for 600 miles. Please, don't try anything that you're about to see us do at home. Ever.
So, tailgate up versus tailgate down. Are you serious? Are we revisiting that? I thought we nailed that.
Yeah, we did nail it. I think we nailed it. You think we nailed it. And I believe the general consensus is that we nailed it. But when it comes to fuel efficiency, the fans just want more. They want more tests.
Huh.
The tailgate up versus down dilemma first spawned a driving marathon.
Yeah, it's definitely out. I'm keying it off, over.
Then a water vortex test.
Okay.
Both of which proved that tailgate up is a more fuel-efficient way to drive.
And it's right about here. They're hitting this critical point where I can see them kind of falling off and joining in with their friends.
But viewers want more.
So the basic gist of it is that the fans feel like there are several tests we did not try that can potentially improve your mileage on your pickup truck.
Yeah, my inbox is full of them, like driving your pickup with that hard roof cover on it.
Yeah, that's one of them. There's also, I've been suggested, the mesh in place of your tailgate is supposed to work.
And some of them are suggesting that you even take your tailgate entirely off.
Okay, so that's 3 tests. That's enough for us to work with. I think we should do it.
Sounds like a plan. The boys are going to test the different tailgate setups at 25 and 55 miles an hour to find out once and for all the most fuel-efficient way of driving a pickup. Or, more precisely, Jamie's pickup.
The way this works is it's got a flow meter, an electronic flow meter that we've hooked directly into the fuel line of the car. So it knows, it's not estimating, it's not calculating or extrapolating, it's reading precisely how much fuel is moving into the engine of the car under each condition we're going to test it under.
It's a foolproof system, and what's more, it has been pre-tested.
For anyone out there who wants to email me telling me that we screwed up this test, we have already calibrated this thing to this car. So it's going to be perfect.
With the perfect gauge in place, it's time to hit the road.
So for each of these, I think this stretch that you're driving on is perfect. It's like 5 miles of straight, flat road. We get all of our speed readings and fuel efficiency readings on here, just driving back and forth, back and forth.
And they're going to start by trying to confirm their original results with the tailgate down.
Okay, I'm working my way up to 55. I should be pretty stable right now.
5.3, 5.2.
I'm real stable.
Stable's not moving. 5.2, 5.2, 5.2 gallons per hour at 55.
From 55, Jamie slams on the brakes and repeats the circuit at 25 miles an hour.
Okay. 1.2 gallons per hour at 25.
Okay.
A quick pit stop later, and it's all changed with the tailgate.
This test is tailgate up, just like old times, except we don't have to drive for 600 miles.
They run the circuit once more at 55.
Stable reading of 5 gallons per hour at 55.
Then again at 25 miles an hour.
Well, that seems to confirm our previous results that having the tailgate up is more fuel efficient than having the tailgate down.
Well, that's encouraging. So, what's next?
Now that their original results are upheld, the new tests can begin. And first up, it's on with the pickup cover.
Putting a hard cover on your pickup truck is supposed to be the best thing you could do to make it aerodynamic, and that's supposed to lead to the best fuel efficiency. A nearly endless number of fans wrote Jamie and I to explain this very point, so that's why we're doing it.
Once the cover's in place, they drive around in circles some more.
1.2 gallons per hour at 25. Let's go up to 55.
Okay, and steadying off, not moving.
Okay, I get a reading of 5 gallons per hour at 55.
The stats are in, so they head back to Mission Control, where it's off with the roof as the cover is uncovered.
And there you have it. One nice fallout shelter. Oh, honey, there's a tornado coming. Hold on, sweetie. Let's go down.
While Adam seeks shelter, what's next?
Next is actually a truck tailgate mesh. Requires removing this and putting the mesh on.
Well, this thing weighs a bit. I guess that'd save mileage if it's, not on the truck, right?
Well, the fans emailed us and said if we were testing tailgate up and down, we should test this because this is supposed to be the least aerodynamic. It's supposed to use the most fuel. And on the box, it actually says it improves the gas mileage. So we're going to investigate that.
There's a mishmash of information about the mesh. The manufacturer claims it improves mileage, but the fans disagree. Luckily, the Mythbusters are going to put an end to this controversy.
So this is the test for the mesh installed with the tailgate removed.
And 2 laps later, the info's in. And that leaves just one final configuration.
Okay, we're good to go.
Well, let's go.
The last test is no tailgate and no mesh. And after another bout of driving, they have all the data they could ever need.
So where are we now?
Well, now I'm tired of driving, and I think we should go back to the shop and crunch all these numbers, compare them to each other and see what kind of data we actually achieved today.
Okay. So Adam, we're back at base, and you're looking a little confused with that calculator.
I'm not confused. Hold on. All right, the results are in. The most fuel-efficient thing you can do to drive your pickup truck is mesh.
Really?
Yeah. Actually, it was an improvement of almost 5%, which exceeds most of the other things we tried.
Wow. What about the other combinations?
Well, no tailgate up, and hardcover were all about the same, and tailgate down was again the worst.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I really, really hope, and I'm asking you, sitting at your computer, not to email me about this. I don't want to do any more fuel efficiency myths.
Yeah, if you don't believe us, go right ahead and drive the way you want.
2, 1.
Later, the salami rocket backfires.
There's salami everywhere.
But next, it's a barbecue Mythbusters style.
Always remember, use plenty of lighter fluid.
Now, Carrie, Grant, and Tori are going to slice another myth wide open.
So, sword cuts a sword. Did you guys screw up or what?
No, we actually got it right this time.
Cut to flashback.
In the mega movie special, the team tried to chop a sword with another sword.
We go in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah!
Whoa.
Nice!
But no matter what combination of blades they used, they could never get a clean cut.
At first, I was so impressed. I thought we might have had a slice, but comes down to it, we had another snap.
But the fans now want them to shoot down another sword-chopping myth.
So we actually got a letter from a fan that said during World War II, Japanese soldiers were cutting through American soldiers' hot machine gun barrels with their swords.
I'll be darned.
All right, well, it sounds like we need to dust off the cutting rig, and I'll go get a machine gun.
Sounds like you've got your work cut out for you, don't you?
Machine guns are the foundation of today's military units. But could this mandate of modern warfare really be cut down by the humble sword? To carve out an answer, Grant is first making some modifications to the original sword-swinging robot.
Before, this was just able to match what a human could do. But for this one, we're actually going to amp it up and make it something superhuman.
Because shearing through a machine gun is a tough task, Grant's maximizing the robot's cutting power. With a new pressure cylinder, it'll be packing twice the punch, which makes it so dangerous that for a preliminary test, the team must retreat to the bunker.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
All right.
That's only at a third of the maximum pressure. A quarter of the maximum pressure.
With the rig swinging like Babe Ruth, it's time to bring in the World War II weaponry.
What we've got here is a Browning .30 caliber machine gun, and it's got the outside guard, but more importantly, the barrel. And as you can see, it's pretty thick.
With such a thick barrel, it's looking like the sword will have its work cut out. But then, Grant offers this myth a lifeline.
Well, supposedly, the reason that they were able to cut through the barrel is because as these guns were being fired, they would heat up, almost to the point of being red or even white hot.
Now let's get this straight. When a bullet is fired, the gases expelled can reach temperatures of 5,000 degrees. So it's no surprise that with a rapid-fire weapon, the barrel can become red hot, making a slice and dice much more likely. Of course, it's too dangerous to actually shoot the Browning to heat it up. So instead, they're having a barbecue.
The reason why we're starting a fire is we need to get these machine gun barrels at an even temperature, run it over to the sword machine and try to cut it in half.
But with Tori in charge of the fire, this method could be just as dangerous as the shooting.
Always remember, use plenty of lighter fluid.
Who put you in charge of the fire?
I don't know, but I'm glad they did.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. And this little shindig is no exception. With a little help from the shop fan and a few more coals, he's hoping to reach 600 degrees.
Does this all seem incredibly dangerous?
It seems very dangerous. Yeah.
All right. Just as long as everyone's aware of that.
With everyone aware of the danger, Tori adds the gun barrel to the flames, which is making Carrie even more nervous.
Worst case scenario would be that as the samurai sword comes whipping around, hits the gun barrel, one or the other or both shatter into a million pieces, and they go into every part of the shop. Shop catches on fire, burns down. I don't have a job.
Carrie may yet be fired, but it's too late to back out because
it's done.
Let's heat the gun barrel up to about 600 degrees. We're going to bring it inside. We've got our samurai sword swinging rig all ready to try to give it a cut and see if this revisit has any truth to it.
3, 2, 1.
Sound like something happened.
it was a clean strike. But what's the result?
Wow.
That is a slice.
Yeah, it's definitely a cut.
That's a lot better than I would have thought, given the
too.
thickness of this material.
But it didn't cut through it.
Or it's
It didn't cut it in half, but that's a gash.
The gun may be gashed, but in a complete reverse of the myth, it's the blade that's been broken in half.
So the next step is we're going to stick this back in the fire, try to get it up to a maximum temperature, and then we're going to go and try to cut it in half again.
Last time, they got the barrel to 600 degrees.
Oh, I bet that's over 1,000.
But this time, they're cranking the heat up to the max.
Oh, it's well over 1,000. 1,500.
1,600 degrees. Okay, it looks like it's holding there.
And
With the temperature at 1,600, the barrel starts to resemble something out of a sci-fi movie.
oh my God, it looks like a lightsaber.
So cool. All right, let's get this thing cut. Okay. We are hot. No pun intended.
Get in here.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, well,
Here.
the barrel is still intact. It's got a deep slice.
It's good.
Yeah, it's deeper, but
It's still not cutting it in half, huh?
okay, I think just straight heat is not doing it because it's still red, and if it couldn't cut it at this point when it's soft and malleable and 1,600 degrees.
It wouldn't cut it ever.
With the gun still standing strong, this myth is surely looking busted. On the other side of the break, will the gun get sliced and diced? And will the salami rocket shoot for the moon?
In 3, 2, 1.
The Mythbusters have been testing hot barrel against chiseled blade to see whether a sword can really cut through a machine gun. But so far, it's gun 2, sword 0.
Sound like something happened.
But all is not lost because Grant's just had a moment of Imahara ingenuity.
One possibility for another way this might have happened is to heat up the barrel just like, you're shooting it, and then quench it rapidly. And if you do this over a succession of times, it will make the metal harder and, in some cases, more brittle, which would make it easier for someone to cut it
or break it somehow.
To put Grant's theory to the test, Tori first reheats the barrel before plunging it into some cold water.
There she blows.
And once chilled, the barrel jumps back from the freezing pan into the fire.
Back into the fire.
After 5 more repetitions, the barrel's all set for test 3, for which Carrie has lined up one more change.
I've finally convinced Grant and Tori that we are going to have to give this our best shot, so we've gone through our inventory and pulled out the strongest, best sword we have. I think it's going to give us our best shot.
It's a souped-up sword versus a bruised-up barrel.
All right, brittle barrel, strong sword in 3, 2, 1.
Whoa! You heard a drop of metal.
Kicking, kicking, kicking. Yeah! Look at right there, right there, right there.
Wow. At last, they've hit pay dirt. The barrel has broken into 4 pieces. But according to Grant, it's not myth confirmed. And there's 3 reasons why.
The first reason is that this is not a slice. The myth is about slicing through a barrel. This is hitting it and the barrel shattered. The second reason is under normal operation, this machine gun would have an outside guard, which we weren't using for our tests. And the third reason is that I've really amped up this rig. It is superhuman. So that amount of force could not be delivered by even an expert swordsman.
So, on the Browning machine gun, it's Mythbusters. But Carrie wants to try one more thing.
I think we should actually move on, though. I think we should go on to something. Is there some sort of machine gun or something from the same era that would have a smaller barrel or thinner walls or something?
Well, technically, it wouldn't be a machine gun. It would be a submachine gun. But there are smaller barrels, like a Tommy gun, which we have.
Okay. We should try that.
Yeah, let's ruin another gun.
All right.
It's the last chance for this myth. Armed with a thin-walled Tommy gun, it's back to the barbecue.
Ain't gonna lie, that's hot.
All right, I'm watching it go up. 1,200, 1,300, 1,400, 1,500, 16, 17, 1740, 17, topping at 1750.
All right, cool.
Let's do it.
With the temperature red hot, can this shooter get slashed by the super strong sword?
Okay, here we're going with a modern alloy blade, Tommy gun barrel in 3, 2, 1. Oh, no way!
It bent it.
No freaking way.
Huh.
The barrel's more crooked than a politician, but even at almost 2,000 degrees, there's still no cut.
You know, my feeling is it is that hot. It's hot enough to bend it by hitting it, and it's still not cutting it. I don't think you'll ever be able to cut it no matter how hot the barrel gets.
No, I agree. I mean, here you see that deflection. It should have been able to. If it was going to, this is the softest state you're going to find it in.
It bent the barrel.
And let's not forget that those are the thinnest walls on the smallest barrel using a modern sword with modern alloys.
What they're trying to say is that it's myth completely and utterly busted. So let's cue the wrap-up.
So, what were the results you guys came up with?
Totally busted. You can't cut a World War II era machine gun barrel with a sword. They're just too thick.
But we do think we found a reasonable explanation for why people thought maybe that you could cut them in half, and that is under certain conditions, the heating of the machine gun barrel through firing can make it kind of brittle, and it can shatter on impact with the sword, but it doesn't slice.
So it's totally busted. Nice work. Well done.
The salami rocket revisit is not going well. So far, it's looking like the fans are right. Salami may be tasty, but rocket fuel it ain't.
Nothing. Salami didn't ignite.
But Jamie, bright spark that he is, has had a bright idea.
Our ignition system worked perfectly this last run. However, we didn't get the reaction with the fuel grain and the NOS. And that means everything was burning, but it wasn't carried through into the fuel. What we figure that we need to do to make that happen is actually choke down the nozzle considerably more, because increasing the pressure in that engine is part of the formula of how rocket engines work.
And on the off chance you are not a rocket scientist, all that means is that on the next test, they're going to use an exhaust nozzle with a smaller hole.
Nitrous oxide with a 5/16 inch nozzle. In 3, 2, 1.
That's more like it.
More like it indeed. The reinforced nozzle blew out, but there's no doubt they got the ignition they wanted.
There's salami everywhere. Dude, it blew out the nozzle.
The nozzle gave way, so there's floor-to-ceiling salami shrapnel. But it did hang in long enough for the rocket to thrust its way into the force meter.
Oh, yeah.
That's a hell of a lot of pressure. 218 pounds of thrust. That's a lot.
218 pounds of thrust. That's 3 times the force of the NOx alone, proving that, yes, salami can act as rocket fuel. But with another tweak to the nozzle size, the boys think they can go better still.
This is NOS hybrid salami rocket with a 3/8 nozzle. In 3, 2, 1, go!
I think we got more thrust.
I'll bet we got more.
Let's go see what it reads.
880 pounds of thrust.
It's a heck of a lot of force for such a little salami. But is it enough to have launched a rocket?
This thing would have taken off like nobody's business if we had had this launched. You know, it would have exploded midair at some point and stopped going. But with 500 pounds worth of I'm going up, something that weighs, you know, under 20 pounds is going up.
So, in other words, the salami rocket rocks. Its mission accomplished.
Well, I am really pleased with those results. I mean, the thrust we got from the NOx salami reaction and ignition vastly exceeded the thrust we got from just the release of the NOx alone.
Yeah, in fact, the results were so good that we maxed out the force gauge and even ruined it.
I'm also pleased to note that I did not screw up the nozzle design, that the reaction is so energetic it's more like an explosion than anything else, and it blew up even our new, much stronger nozzles. I mean, this stuff is confirmed. It's just not an ideal rocket fuel. Maybe someday when science unlocks the secret, we'll be traveling to Mars on pure mortadella. But not now.